Our journey to French Polynesia began with an epic journey of nearly 10,000 miles, with a 10-hour flight to Los Angeles, a 4-hour stopover, and then another 8.5 hours west to Papeete, the capital of Tahiti. From here we took a short taxi ride to the ferry terminal and took a ferry from Tahiti to Moorea, a journey of around 35 minutes. The journey even included a free whale show en route, which was the perfect introduction to French Polynesia and all it had to offer. We picked up our hire car in Moorea and headed up to the Sofitel Kiora, where we had booked a day pass, so we had a place to relax before we checked into our Airbnb. You can make use of all the hotel's facilities throughout the day, and lunch is included. If you arrive on a Sunday like we did, you'll be treated to a special brunch, which includes lots of Polynesian fish dishes, as well as lobsters and oysters. That afternoon we travelled along the scenic north coast, past Cook's Bay and Opanohu Bay. We were headed to a small town called Tiahuru in the northwest of the island. The location of our bungalow gave us direct access to the turquoise lagoon via kayak. The lagoon tour with Motu lunch began with us being picked up by a boat from a local beach. Our first stop was Opanohu Bay, where we were given a brief history of the island against a stunning backdrop of jagged mountains. Then there was a brief stop for snorkeling at the Motu, where we saw eagle rays and sea turtles, before heading to the Motu for a traditional French Polynesian lunch. As you can see, we had some extra guests. Despite their bad reputation, these sharks and stingrays are really friendly. The stingrays in particular are really inquisitive and are puppy-like in their behaviour. Following lunch, there was time to relax with a few rum-based beverages, and I had some time to fly my drone over the island, allowing me to see the stunning turquoise lagoon in all of its glory. The whale trip was probably the activity I was looking forward to the most on our trip. Moorea is one of the only places in the world where you can swim with humpback whales. We spent a couple of hours travelling up and down the coast, following pods of whales, and were treated to some amazing mating displays. Boats aren't allowed within 100 metres of the whales, so I eagerly waited for the call from the guide to say it was time to go, and when he did, I jumped in the water and swam frantically in the general direction of a large humpback, completely ignoring the 1,000-foot deep water beneath me and the very real threat of oceanic white-tip sharks, which were aggressive towards humans and have been a real concern for this season. Unfortunately, some trips had already been cancelled this year due to the presence of these sharks. After swimming for what felt like an eternity, an enormous dark silhouette came into view, probably 20 metres away, and moving gracefully from left to right in my field of view. It was an adult male humpback whale. In the excitement and awe of the moment, I failed to capture any footage as he glided past, but it was certainly a moment that I'll never forget. The Moorea Island tour started off with us being picked up in a 4x4 safari jeep. We made our way around the scenic coastal road that covers the entire perimeter of the island. We were treated to some amazing views of the mountains and stopped off at some incredible viewpoints, including the Magic Mountain Overlook, which gave stunning views of the lagoon where we were staying, as well as Opanohu Bay. We then made our way up the winding road to the Belvedere Lookout, an incredible viewpoint 240 metres above sea level that gives views of both Cook's Bay and Opanohu Bay. We made brief stops at a pineapple farm and a distillery called Moorea, which produces local fruit juices as well as various alcoholic drinks, before heading back to our accommodation. On our free day in Moorea, we decided to head out in the car and revisit some of the places we'd been to over the previous few days. We started off by heading up to the Belvedere lookout again, this time early in the morning so I could fly my drone without disturbing anyone. We also stopped at the Toatea lookout, which overlooks the Sofitel, with Tahiti clearly visible in the distance. Later that day we hired a boat and headed out to a spot not far from our bungalow that was really popular with sharks and stingrays. However, as we swam with these a lot on Bora Bora, I'll leave those until later on in the video. The flight from Moorea to Bora Bora took around 45 minutes and was one of the most scenic flights we've ever taken. The contrast between the deep blue waters and the shallow turquoise lagoons were remarkable. As we exited the airport, we had to pinch ourselves. The colour of the water contrasted against the bright blue sky, coupled with the striking shape of the main island, was a sight to behold, and was our first impression of this place we could only dream of going to as kids. As the airport is located on a Motu, the only way to get to the main island is via ferry or private boat transfer. We took the ferry and arrived in the capital of Vaitapi, and from there we were greeted by a taxi driver who drove us down the west coast to our bungalow right at the tip of Moorea beach, and the most southern point of Bora Bora. The location of our bungalow gave us stunning views of both the sunrise and sunset, and is widely regarded as the best location to stay on the main island of Bora Bora. Our bungalow came complete with direct access to the lagoon that hugs the island, and we regularly saw eagle rays, sharks and stingrays swimming past. Bora Bora Beach Club was a 10-minute walk away and served fantastic food and cocktails, with seating overlooking the lagoon. It's one of the best restaurant views we've ever experienced, but I definitely recommend going during happy hour when prices are a little bit cheaper. Swimming with manta rays was another one of my bucket list goals that I wanted to fulfill on this trip, and it didn't disappoint. We did this trip on 2 separate occasions during our 5 nights on the island, and saw mantas on both occasions in 2 different locations. These majestic creatures glide through the water like they're flying, completely unfazed by the people floating above them. The feeling of being so close to such magnificent wild creatures in their natural habitat was simply unforgettable. It was an overwhelming, humbling and breathtaking experience. Swimming with sharks and stingrays in Bora Bora was a surprisingly peaceful experience. During our 2 weeks in French Polynesia, we did shark and stingray trips on 3 separate occasions, once in Moorea and twice on Bora Bora. Our boat took us to a shallow, sandy lagoon where dozens of stingrays glided gracefully around us, their bodies brushing against my legs. They gave an incredible feeling of trust and a connection with nature. Then the black-tipped reef sharks arrived, their sleek bodies cutting through the water, and although intimidating at first glance, they were completely uninterested in us and went about their own business. Sharing these creatures' natural habitat and witnessing them up close was an incredibly humbling experience. Our Bora Bora Island tour was an unforgettable adventure that offered a unique perspective on the island's stunning beauty. Our tour guide navigated rugged, winding and severely underdeveloped roads with ease, stopping at viewpoints around the island while giving fascinating insights into local culture and the island's history. We were completely in awe of the panoramic views that the island had to offer. We captured so many photos, but not a single one of them could really do justice to the vibrant colours that we were seeing. The tour was a great way to see the island's perhaps not so explored areas and appreciate the landscape from a different angle. The vast majority of tourists who visit Bora Bora stay in the big fancy hotels on the surrounding Motus, the ones with the overwater bungalows that can reach up to $20,000 just for a single night's stay. Most of these tourists will never leave the resort during their stay, so will never get to see the island from this perspective. It's a shame because in my opinion, the view looking out to the lagoon is even better than the view looking in. Two of our trips on Bora Bora included visits to the coral garden in the north of the island. As soon as we submerged ourselves into the water, it was like entering another world. A kaleidoscope of colour exploded before our eyes. The gardens were full of pristine coral, free from bleaching and full of life. The water was incredibly clear, probably the clearest we've seen anywhere in the world, and as a snorkeling spot, probably the best we've ever been to, even surpassing the Caribbean, the Maldives, and the Great Barrier Reef. The shallow depth meant that the sunlight could penetrate all the way down to illuminate the coral. Observing this hidden world just below the water surface was awe-inspiring and a real highlight of our trip. The Motu lunches we experienced on Bora Bora were a slice of authentic Polynesian paradise. On these private islets we were treated to a feast of local delights, including coconut husking demonstrations, an impressive fire stick display in front of the vibrant blue lagoon, and traditional food served on palm leaves, once again with stingrays for company, all with a classic Tahitian ukulele creating the perfect soundtrack. It was a really great way to spend the day, embracing the local culture, learning new skills, tasting new foods, and just taking in everything that Bora Bora had to offer. After 5 days on Bora Bora, we took a flight back to Tahiti, where we would spend our last 3 nights. During our time on the island, we did an off-road 4x4 safari tour, transiting through the Papanu Valley on rough, unpaved roads, and witnessed some stunning backdrops and tremendous waterfalls. We also did an on-road island tour, stopping at the famous Manoi oil factory, botanical gardens, beautiful temples and churches, a seaside cafe where we would try some locally produced juices, and stunning black sand beaches. Our accommodation in Tahiti was a gorgeous bungalow on the west coast with direct views of Moorea and some of the best sunsets we've ever seen anywhere in the world. In the evenings we'd sit out on the deck watching the sunset with our perfect hosts Nicholas and Marie, sharing stories of our travels, and it was the perfect way to end our time in French Polynesia.